So in the last class, we have discussed the formation of Indian National Congress, right? We have completed the socio-cultural reforms and then national movement. Okay. So the topic is national movement. And in this topic, we discussed the grounds of the formation or foundation of Indian National Congress. Right? Indian National Congress, and it was the whole India platform right. See, when we discuss the national movement, right? So the first thing which comes in our mind is the national movement for the freedom of India, for the independence, right? But from the beginning, the objective of these national movements was not the freedom, was not the independence. Initial motive, initial objective was different, right? So the motive of the leaders of India, the nationalist, right, was changed by the time, right? So the progress was step by step, right? So from 1858, then 1861, the Government of India Act 1858, the Government of India Act 1861, 1860, यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था? Imperial Legislative Council was formed, right? And the rule of British Crown was started. In 1861, enlargement, extension of the councils, right? After these acts, the British government passed various laws in India for Indians, right, to suppress the ideologies which were developing in the Indians, among the Indians. And these type of the sentiments, the emotions, the feelings, the ideologies were related with the nationalism. So the British government, from the beginning, they started suppressing. They didn't want that nationalism kind of feelings should be emerged in Indians. But that happened because of various factors like the education, right? The contribution of press and the British policies itself contributed a lot to emerge nationalism among Indians, right? The uniform law, the uniform administration, the uniform economic policies of the Britishers over Indians, and various developmental work of the British government in India, like the postal services, the railways, telegraph. So all these services, these developments, education itself, they contributed a lot to connect Indians. So these policies, these developmental work, we can say neglected the regionality, right? And contributed a lot to unite Indians, to feel the oneness, right? And then various laws passed by the British government. as we have discussed in the last class, after 1870, the British government in India, they removed various duties from the British products in India. So when these British products become duty free, so they become very cheap, right? And that created a sense of competition, right? Unbeatable competition between the British product and the traditional handicrafts of India. So the remaining industries, or we can say the small emerging industries of India, started declining and their destruction was started because of these removal of taxes or duties, right? And at the same time, they imposed high duties on Indian products to prevent them from entering into Britain. So we can say, if the British government wanted, they could contribute a lot in industrialization in India during that time period, because that time period was considered as the industrialization phase of the world, right? लेकिन इंडिया में ऐसा नहीं. Why? बस ज्यादा डाउन भी मत करो, वरना कल क्लास नहीं हो पाएगी फिर. ठीक है. और अभी के टाइम पे तो फीवर्स के नाम से भी डर लगता है ना, कि कहीं ना हो जाए. ठीक है, बट अभी नहीं है. हाँ, डरो नहीं. ठीक है. सो India was left behind from the industrialization, right? So that was the reason. After this, various laws like Arms Act, Vernacular Press Act. Vernacular Press Act क्या था ये? What was it? Huh? Non-English newspapers were banned, right? Why? Because of their anti-government activities in their post, right? And to suppress the nationality among Indians. Nationalism was spreading through these newspapers, right? So it was a policy of government to suppress these kind of ideologies in India, right? That means what? During that time period, around 1878, the atmosphere was prepared, like the British government started thinking that if these ideologies are not going to suppress, then we can face another revolt. That's why they took that type of action. Arms Act, right? Then in 1883, कौन सा बिल था? इल्बर्ट बिल. क्या था उसमें? Indian magistrate could not hear the cases of Britishers, right? And then the government had to face criticism from the Britishers, and they had to amend the bill. And when the government amended the Ilbert bill, the Indians started gathering for opposing their amendment. And then they realized there is a supreme power in the gathering, in the unity. So if we want to change something, if we want the British government should hear our voice or fulfill our demands, so we should be united. And then they founded a platform, INC, Indian National Congress. It was the first all India platform for political activities, for political awareness. Right. There are various predecessor, we can say, इससे पहले भी कुछ associations थी, but it was the first all India platform. Right. And there is a theory behind it, the safety wall theory. क्या थी safety wall theory? The safety wall theory says that the INC, the foundation of INC by A.O. Hume. He is considered as the founding father of INC. Right? Main जो contribution था वो किनका था? A.O. Hume का था. He was the British official. Right? High level officer in the British government in India. Right? And he was very dominating in the government. And he was in the favor of the Indians. He was very liberal towards Indian cultivators, the peasants, the poor class, the educated class of India, right? And when he was posted in Shimla as a revenue officer, he realized that there are possibilities of a revolt, a huge revolt will took place. Right. So he decided to provide Indians a platform. Right. He thought there is a problem, like Indians are demanding the representation. Representation was the main question, main demand of the Indians. Why? Because till now, from 1858 to 1885, during that time period, 1858 to 1885, all the rules and regulations for India were planned by the British Parliament. Right? So the intellect Indians, the elite class of India, the educated class of India demanded the representation in the council so that they can represent themselves. Right? Representative of India. Right? So A.O. Hume presented a theory before Lord Dufferin, right? And he advocated that there should be a platform for the Indians so that they can demand from that platform legally. Right? And when they will demand, we will become superior. तो demand किससे की जाएगी? जो खुद से superior होगा. Right? So let's provide them a platform. And by providing that platform, see, demand वो करेंगे, and it is up to us. हमें fulfill करनी है या नहीं? Right? And जो भी demand होगी वो कैसे होगी? Legally होगी. एक process में होगी. And legal process takes time. So we can suppress the nationality, the aggression of the people, the anger of the Indians. And at the same time, we can delay their demands. और जरूरी नहीं जैसे डिमांड रखी है वैसे के वैसे हम उसे एज इट इज फॉलो करें, फुलफिल करें. हम उनको फुलफिल करेंगे अकॉर्डिंग टू आवर विश. So the safety wall theory says it was an organization provided by the British government to suppress nationality in India, the aggression of Indians, right? But it's not completely true, right? देखो, A.O. ह्यूम को पूरा क्रेडिट देना, if we give 100% credit to A.O. Hume, so that is wrong, because the atmosphere which was created by the Indians from 1858 to 1885, that itself says कि यहाँ पे अब इन पॉलिटिकल अवेयरनेस आ चुकी है, क्योंकि जब तक पॉलिटिकल अवेयरनेस नहीं होगी तब तक डिमांड्स नहीं होगी. And now, if the people demanding the political representation in the councils, that means they have become politically aware. That's why they are questioning, right? Clear? So 100% credit इनको देना कि ये बहुत ज्यादा लिबरल थे और इन्होंने इंडियंस को बहुत ज्यादा बेनिफिट देने के लिए ये फाउंडेशन प्रिपेयर किया, तो वो भी गलत है, बिकॉज इसके पीछे बहुत सारे लोगों का कंट्रीब्यूशन था, बहुत सारे इंडियंस का कंट्रीब्यूशन था, लीडर्स का कंट्रीब्यूशन था, राइट? और ये क्रिटिसाइज इस बिहाफ पे द सेफ्टी वॉल थियरी इज आल्सो नॉट ट्रू 100%, राइट? इसलिए नहीं था कि ये इंडियंस को सप्रेस करने के लिए था. A.O. ह्यूम की नजर से ही वाज लिबरल टुवर्ड्स इंडियंस, एंड वो चाहते थे कि देयर शुड बी रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ इंडियंस, राइट? और सेफ्टी वॉल वाला जो पॉइंट था, he described before the Lord Dufferin, because he was aware about his nature and the British government, कि अगर ये पॉइंट नहीं बताया गया सेफ्टी वॉल वाला, तो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट कभी भी ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बनने ही नहीं देगी इंडिया में, राइट? दोनों तरफ से जो भी था, ये एक अच्छा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन था, एक अच्छा स्टेप था बाय द नेशनलिस्ट इंडियंस, राइट? दे टुक सपोर्ट ऑफ A.O. Hume and then they founded INC. After the formation of INC, Indian National Congress, right? So the meaning of that association, that gathering means, अब कौन इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं यहाँ पे? नेशनल्स. गैदरिंग किसकी है? नेशनल्स की गैदरिंग है, नॉट ऑफ द रीजनल्स. नेशनल्स की गैदरिंग है, राइट? सो वंस इन अ ईयर they had a session of INC, and most probably the session was held in December every year. So the first session of INC was held in Bombay, right? December 1885, and the president was W.C. Banerjee, right? And in the first session, there were 72 delegates who participated in this session. 72 Indian nationalists were there. They attended the session. And in the next session, in the second session in 1886, there were around 580 Indian delegates who attended the session. So you can imagine the speed of nationality, the speed of the reach of INC, right? कितनी तेजी से जो nationality थी that was emerging, right? और INC ने लोगों को वो platform दिया. The people started joining INC. और हर साल by the year the number was increasing from north to south and east to west. And it was pre-decided that every year the session will be on different places in different corners of India. Second session was held in Bengal, Calcutta, 1886. Right? And the president of that session every year was also chosen very carefully, so that the representation should be there with every section of the society, every religion of the India. right? So make some notes for INC first. ये लिख लिया आपने? फर्स्ट सेशन हेल्ड इन बॉम्बे, प्रेसिडेंट WC बनर्जी, व्योमेश चंद्र बनर्जी. The session was attended by 72 delegates. Objective: ऐसे बनाना, ठीक है? Objective: to promote friendly environment between nationalist political workers, from different parts of the country next point in objectives: to develop and consolidate the feeling of national unity, irrespective of caste, religion, or province. Next, to formulate the demands of Indians and their representation within the government. Make bracket, legislative councils. Government means participation kaha? In the legislative councils. And next, to train and organize public opinion in the country. Next point, objective is completed. Next point, Surendranath Banerjee Dada Bhai Nauroji were among the important leaders of INC. The second session of INC was held in Calcutta, 1886. Under the presidentship of Dada Bhai Nauroji. Right. Objectives पढ़ो एक बार. माइंड में बैठना चाहिए मीनिंग उसका, ठीक है. Okay. See. Now, the most important thing is the methods used by INC, Indian National Congress, the methods used by INC. Now, we become aware about their objectives very well, right? And then they started utilizing that platform to connect India, right? All corners of India, irrespective of caste, religion, any regionality, right? They started connecting the people, the Indians, right? And they were very well aware about the reaction of the British government. So the methods which they used were very liberal in nature. For example, कोई भी demand होती थी, ठीक है? So they used to write a letter, right? फिर वो letter जाता था, ठीक है? Present करते थे letter को. अब किसके will पे है वो letter? British government, right? And then wait करते थे कि आए आंसर वहां से कुछ, ठीक है? And majority times the answer कैसा हो सकता था? क्या probability थी? No, right? And with some amendments, right? 10 to 15% chances थे कि कुछ demands fulfill हो जाए, right? But see, if you discuss these things or the early nationalists of India, right, and the leaders of INC with any political thinker, क्लास से बाहर भी जब आप किसी से बात करोगे ना, एडवांस लेवल के किसी बच्चे से, so the most probably they will criticize the initial leaders of INC. But the reality is they were aware about the British power. उनको क्रिटिसाइज किस बिहाफ पे किया जाता है कि कैसे लीडर्स थे, कैसा नेचर था, चिट्ठियां लिख लिख के भेज रहे हैं, वेट कर रहे हैं रिस्पॉन्स का कि ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट रिस्पॉन्ड करे, ठीक है? मान लिया तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, वरना फिर दोबारा चिट्ठी लिखेंगे, ठीक है? और ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम द Imperial Legislative Council of Viceroy, right? कितने मेंबर्स थे? पहले कितने मेंबर्स थे? अच्छा, मैं किसकी बात कर रही हूँ? आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट INC, आई एम आस्किंग अबाउट द Imperial Legislative Council, राइट? वाइसरॉय को क्या राइट मिले थे? पहले कितने थे? 5, then 6 to 12, right? और ऐड किए जा सकते थे, could be added, and at least 50% of them should be non-officials, and these non-officials could be Indian or ब्रिटिश। कैसी बात कर रहे हो आप? हाँ, वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन, यू आर आस्किंग अबाउट द वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन, वेरी रेयर, बट फ्रॉम इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव, इंडिया की तरफ से भी, ठीक है, the participation and the presentation of Indians was very less. Majority non-official members of that legislative councils were Britishers. Very few of Indians got the opportunity, and जिसको opportunity मिली, they belong to any princely state, right? और उनका इतना क्रिटिसिज्म होता है, ठीक है, अभी मतलब आपकी बुक्स में है दो चार ऐसे नाम, ठीक है, लेकिन इंडियन रूलर्स की थोड़ी सी क्रिटिसिज्म करने में थोड़ा मतलब बेइज्जती फील होती है कि कैसे थे वो उस टाइम पे, ठीक है। जो एक दो थे उनसे पूछा गया कि जब मीटिंग्स होती हैं लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल की, राइट, और जब वोटिंग होती है तो आप वोट कैसे डालते हो? सो ही सेड कि मैं वॉइस रॉय की तरफ देखते रहता हूँ, जब वो हैंड रेज करते हैं तो मैं भी हैंड रेज कर देता हूँ, जो हैंड डाउन करते हैं मैं भी हैंड डाउन कर देता हूँ, जो वो स्माइल करते हैं तो मैं भी स्माइल कर देता हूँ। दैट वाज द वे। दैट मीन्स जिनको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, वो ऐसे थे। सो नाउ यू कैन इमेजिन कि वो कितना जो ओरिजिनली जो जो इंडिया था हमारा, उसको कितना रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे होंगे। Getting this? But the INC, the leaders of INC, they started demanding the extension of that legislative assembly, the extension of that legislative assembly. And they said within these non-official members, majority should be Indians. And not just Indians, these should be elected, not nominated. They should be elected, not nominated, right? So in 1897, see, they started demanding from 1885, right? And 1897, a Government of India Act was passed, right? And from 92, it was started, right? So during that time period, they got the opportunity to extend the legislative council, right? And they were very intelligent. They were very clever. The initial nationalist leaders of INC, they were very intelligent, right? They were aware about the reaction of the British government. उनको लगता था कि अगर कहीं पे भी हमने थोड़ा सा dominance create किया, थोड़ा aggression दिखाया, so they will not take time to suppress us. ये जो प्लेटफॉर्म बना है ये बहुत जल्दी खत्म भी हो जाएगा. That's why they adopted the method of plea, application, letters, legal methods, request. And they had to face criticism from Indians during that time. And they had to answer the other nationalist leaders as well for their liberal behavior. And these leaders were known as moderate nationalist of INC, moderate or liberal nationalist of INC. बहुत क्रिटिसिज्म होता था, उनको बोला जाता था ये क्या तरीका है आपका, भीख मांग रहे हो, क्लियरली ओपनली बोलते थे. और फिर वो कहते थे कि जब तक सच में इंडियंस अवेयर नहीं हो जाते, कितने परसेंट इंडियंस ऐसे हैं जिनको पॉलिटिकल अवेयरनेस है? हाउ मेनी इंडियंस आर देयर who can fight for their freedom, who can fight for their rights, human rights, individual rights? They are not aware about their rights. Actually, they are not aware about the governing system. So till the time come, we need to be liberal and quiet. तो जब तक वो कैपेबिलिटी नहीं आ जाती तब तक कैसा रहना सही है? चुप रहना सही है। और तब तक ब्रिटिशर्स से सिर्फ रिक्वेस्ट कर करके काम कराओ। So they adopted that method. So make heading the methods of INC. The method of working through the platform of INC was dominated by the leaders who were described as moderate nationalists, who were described as moderate nationalist. They followed constitutional methods within the boundaries of laws they were very slow in their political work progress. They believed that if public opinion was created, लिखते टाइम पूरा ध्यान से सुनना और समझना, ठीक है? They believed that if public opinion was created and organized, and popular demands presented to the authorities, and popular demands presented to the authorities through petitions, meetings, resolutions, and speeches, the authorities would concede consider karna, that means they will recognize, concede these demands gradually and step by step, gradually and step by step. Okay, I will repeat that sentence और आपने जो लिखा है उस पे फोकस करोगे, ठीक है? They believed that if public opinion was created, underline this, public opinion was created, public opinion was created and organized, and popular demands presented to the authorities through petitions, meetings, resolutions, and speeches, then the authorities would concede these demands gradually and step by step. So major focus on these words, public opinion. public opinion must be created and organized. Getting this? Public opinion must be created and organized. एक तो create होना चाहिए, public का opinion बनना चाहिए about political theories and about the government. And then these opinions should be organized, right? Or through the resolutions, through the petitions, the letters, the requests, demands, these could be fulfilled gradually, step by step. Next point. They worked on two directions. First, they worked on two directions. First, to build up a strong public opinion in India, to build up a strong public opinion in India, to arouse, A-R-O-U-S-E, arouse the political consciousness, underline that, these two words, political consciousness and national spirit of the people, national spirit of the people, and to educate and unite them on political questions, Second, to persuade the British government to introduce reforms पढ़ो ये दोनों पॉइंट्स पढ़ो एक बार अपने मन में पढ़ो राइट और उसको ध्यान से समझो right and let me tell you one thing very important one is in the mains examination you may get direct questions from the NCERTs right and the INC the formation of INC and their method of work of political activities that topic is very important so जो हमने लिखा है अभी ठीक है उसको माइंड में बिठा लेना ठीक है और उसे एज इट इज आंसर लिख देना ठीक है नाउ नोट्स में नहीं देखोगे ठीक है एंड देन टेल मी कौन कौन से वर्ड्स आपने अंडरलाइन किए थे नेशनल स्पिरिट गुड पॉलिटिकल कॉन्शियसनेस वेरी गुड public opinion right what do you understand by these words national spirit means right see during that time period the India was before that, the India was divided into various regions. So it was very important to unite people, and to unite people, nationality was the only key. So they focused on the national spirit to unite Indians, right? And then they focused on educate them for political, right? They started focusing on the awareness of political system, the governing system, right? And one more thing, don't think like you are now sitting in the NCERT batch, because NCERT is the base for UPSC. So don't take it lightly. ठीक है? It doesn't matter कि आप 24 में एग्जाम दोगे, 25 में दोगे, 26 में दोगे, it doesn't matter. For me, if whether we are sitting in the NCERT batch or in the advanced batch, ठीक है, ऑब्जेक्टिव मेरा एक ही होता है, क्लास खत्म होने के बाद, ठीक है, you should be capable of writing an answer. अगर कॉन्सेप्ट ही क्लियर नहीं हुआ तो कोई फायदा नहीं है. तो बहुत सारे बच्चे एनसीईआरटी बैच में ऐसे बैठते हैं, ठीक है, they take it lightly that we are just preparing for the UPSC. हाँ, we are freshers. अभी तो एनसीईआरटी तो ज्वाइन किया है. एनसीईआरटी is the core, is the base, ठीक है, and 50% of your paper will directly or indirectly depend on these NCERTs only, right? So don't take it lightly. That analytical approach, concepts should be developed in your mind, right? That's why I'm underlining this, right? अंडरलाइन करो, इन कॉन्सेप्ट पे फोकस करो. ये जो आपने अंडरलाइन किया है ना, क्लास के बाद भी आप सब इनको रिपीट करोगे, रिवाइज करोगे. नेशनल स्पिरिट, पब्लिक ओपिनियन, बिकॉज सी you are politically aware in present times because you are having different kind of sources, internet, right? और भी कुछ नहीं तो ट्विटर से सीख लेते ना, है ना? So आपके पास अवेयरनेस के लिए बहुत सारे सोर्सेज हैं, बट थिंक अबाउट दोस. उस टाइम पे पब्लिक को ये बताना जरूरी था कि यू मस्ट हैव सम ओपिनियन how you should be ruled, what should be the governing system. उनको समझ में, उनको मतलब ही नहीं था. उनको आदत थी कि राजा महाराजा होते थे, बादशाह हो गए, सुल्तान हो गए, ठीक है, उन्होंने डिक्लेयर कर दिया कुछ भी, एंड वी नीड टू फॉलो. सो दे वर हैबिचुअल ऑफ दिस काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम. और अब एजुकेशन ने अभी बताना शुरू किया उनको, राइट, that you are having human rights. Fundamental rights will come, right? Human rights. Every individual must have some opinion. Getting this? So this was the time phase. So इसको उसी टाइम के अकॉर्डिंग समझो, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट लिखो. The leaders of INC also focused on developing the public opinion of Britishers for Indians. For Indians. See what they did. Dadabhai Naoroji, he went to Britain, right? And most of his time and most of his income was spent to create a public opinion of the Britishers. किसका पब्लिक ओपिनियन? पब्लिक ओपिनियन ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर्स। ब्रिटेन चले गए और ब्रिटेन में जाके बता रहे हैं कि आपके जो लोग हैं, योर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स, योर ऑफिसर्स, योर गवर्नमेंट is doing wrong with Indians. So they started creating public opinion of the Britishers so that they could create pressure on their representatives to be liberal with Indians in India. Getting this? That type of activity they did, right? So they क्या लाइन लिखी हमने? They started of Britishers for India. Next point. In 1889, yeah, sure. In 1889, a British committee of a British committee of the Indian National Congress, a British committee of Indian National Congress was founded within 4 years. लंदन पहुंच गए, वहां जाके क्या फॉर्मेशन, किस चीज का फाउंडेशन किया? They founded a British committee of Indian National Congress, right? Next point. In 1890, this committee started a journal. This committee started a journal called India. Called India. Dada Bhai Naoroji spent a major part of his life and income in England in popularizing India's case among India's case, C-A-S-E, India's case among British people. Now make heading. Their achievements. Their initial achievements. ऐसे लिखो. Their initial achievements. They made efforts for constitutional reforms and their efforts resulted into Indian Councils Act of 1892. Of 1892. By this act, the number of members of Imperial Legislative Council and legislative councils of provinces was increased. And see, number increase hona, that was good, right? Along with these numbers, they become successful, right, in changing some rules. The non-official members of these councils from India, right, they were started electing. Before that, they were appointed by the viceroy. अब क्या होगा? Election. And see, that election was not direct election. Indirectly elected. Indirectly elected means, if you remember 1858 and 1861, municipal corporation, municipal councils was there. उन्होंने कहा था ना कि municipal councils में इंडियन को representation दे दो, है ना? If we are not providing representation in legislative councils, right? तो उनको थोड़ा खुश करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? We can give some authorities to Indians in municipal councils. So municipal councils में क्या होते थे? Elections. But the voting rights, right, were very less. Only a few peoples, very less population of Indians were having the rights to vote. Right. So through the municipal councils, the Indians were appointed. They were appointed through the municipal councils. Right. So क्या consider होगा? Indirect election. Yes or no? They were indirectly elected. Elected तो है ना? Elected तो है ना? देखो, एक तरफ इंडियन नेशनलिस्ट थे, they were using their mind, right? और दूसरी तरफ ब्रिटिशर्स थे, वो उनसे भी आगे. Indian nationalists were thinking, right, if we demand the elections for the legislative councils, right, कि आप elected candidates को लाओ, तो पब्लिक क्या करेंगे? जो पॉपुलर लीडर्स होंगे, नेशनलिस्ट होंगे अभी के टाइम पे, उनको इलेक्ट करेगी to be a part of legislative councils, right? And if we get the opportunity in the legislative council, तो हम क्या करेंगे? We can demand. हम वहां पहुंच के legislative council में जाके we can participate in law making. गवर्नमेंट उनसे भी आगे, गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि हम डायरेक्ट, चलो इलेक्शन की तो हाँ बोल देते हैं, लेकिन इलेक्शन डायरेक्ट नहीं होगा. म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल्स में जो इलेक्टेड कैंडिडेट है उनमें से हम अपॉइंट करेंगे. So these Indians will be considered as indirectly elected members of legislative councils. समझ आया? Sure? Right? Indirect elections. उन्होंने कहा चलो ऐसा भी सही, हम म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल के थ्रू इलेक्ट होके आ जाएंगे. उन्होंने कहा आप म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल के थ्रू इलेक्ट तो हो जाओगे, लेकिन हम आपको अपॉइंट करें या नहीं करें, दिस इज अवर विश. सो उन नेशनलिस्ट लीडर्स ने, उन्होंने क्या किया? जिसको एंट्री लेनी थी, दोज who wanted to get enter in the legislative council, वो ब्रिटिशर्स को उतना प्यारा हो गया. इंटेंशंस जो भी हो अंदर, उनको पता था मेरा अपॉइंटमेंट तब होगा when I will please them with my liberal ideology. ठीक है, अगर मैं बहुत ज्यादा नेशनैलिटी और ये सब अगर करूंगा तो मुझे अंदर एंट्री नहीं मिलेगी. राइट? they are Britishers. They will not allow any individual Indian, those who can create problem for them. So they become very friendly with the British officials. And then they get the opportunity to enter in the legislative councils. Or once they entered in the Indian council, then they started doing their role. They're playing their role. right? And in 1892, the Indian Council Act, in 1892 Indian Council Act, एक और अपॉर्चुनिटी उनको मिली, एक और अचीवमेंट उनको मिली. And that achievement was, now the non-official members could discuss on the budget, could discuss on the budget. See, this sentence you may feel very simple. आपको लग सकता है कि इसमें क्या बड़ी बात थी, discussion over the budget. What was so much important in that, right? हम बजट पे डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, आप पता नहीं किस पे डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, पूछा जाएगा, right? So another achievement of the Indian Council Act 1892 was they got the right, they means non-official members of Indian Council, they got the right to discuss on the budget. And it was very important. Budget discussion means discussion on the money which was collected from the poor Indians, which was collected from the cultivators, the common people of India. So Indian Council, the Legislative Council, right? इसमें सिर्फ डिस्कशन के लिए अलाउ किया गया. ब्रिटिशर्स को बोला गया कि हमें पार्टिसिपेशन मिलना चाहिए लॉ मेकिंग में, एंड वी वांट टू डिस्कस द बजट. उन्होंने कहा ओके, यू कैन डिस्कस द बजट, यू विल हैव द राइट टू डिस्कस ओवर द बजट, बट यू कैन नॉट वोट फॉर द बजट. वोट नहीं दे सकते आप, यू कैन ओनली डिस्कस. डिस्कशन होगा बट यू विल नॉट हैव एनी राइट टू वोट. उनका ठीक है, चलो वोट नहीं डालेंगे, लेकिन क्या होगा, एक ओपिनियन तो सामने आएगा ना. जब ओपिनियन सामने आएगा तो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट को भी पता चलेगा कि दिस इज द ओपिनियन ऑफ होल इंडिया, जिन्होंने इनको यहाँ भेजा है. ठीक है, पता तो चलेगी कि क्या चल रहा है उनके दिमाग में, इंडियंस के दिमाग में, राइट? देन उन्होंने कहा ओके, you cannot vote. So they said, dear sir, can we ask any question over the budget? If we have any doubt, do we have the right? Please, ye right to dijiye. So they said, okay, you will have the right to raise a question. So raising a question over the budget means ये जो budget है आप कहाँ spend कर रहे हो? If you are going to spend that budget in the war, in the acquisition of the borders, in the acquisition of territories, that means you are not using that money in the development of the people of India. You are not spending the budget on education and welfare of the people. So they said, okay, you can raise any question. Okay, that's good. But जो भी आंसर दिया जाएगा उसके ऊपर कोई क्रॉस क्वेश्चनिंग नहीं होगी और उस आंसर की एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं मांगी जाएगी. You cannot ask for the explanation. Further explanation will not be provided. So think, the INC was founded in 1885 and till 1892 they achieved the elected membership in the council, right? Then they achieved the discussion right over the budget. They achieved the right of raising question on the budget, but they were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to raise any further question. कोई क्रॉस क्वेश्चन नहीं होगा, कोई फर्दर एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं. इतना प्रोग्रेस हुआ था टिल 1892, राइट? ओके, नाउ listen. After 1892, the date which is very much important is 1905, right? So we can say from 1885 to 1905, that time period, कितने साल हो गए? How many years are there? 20 years. In these 20 years, they received a little progress. They achieved a little progress, right? But these 20 years created a sense of nationality, created a sense of political awareness among the people of India. And then the British government started scaring about that spirit. डर लगने लग गया उनको. And if we see the map of India, the region of Bengal, जिसमें उस टाइम बांग्लादेश भी शामिल था, बांग्लादेश, बिहार, ओडिशा, असम, that area was known as Bengal. कौन कौन सा area? The West Bengal, Bangladesh, Bihar, Odia. These regions were known as Bengal. Some portion of झारखंड इसलिए हम अलग से नहीं लिख रहे क्योंकि वो बिहार में था. ठीक है, अलग से लिख देते हैं, चलो ठीक है. Right, so that region was known as Bengal during that time. And the major thing, the most important thing is Bengal was the center of activity, the center of these political awareness, the power of Indians, the center of intellects of India, the center of political leaders of India. जब centers की बात होती है ना, and when we talk about the political leaders of India, so the first name is Bengal, then Mumbai, right? Bombay presidency, then Madras. कुछ थोड़े बहुत नॉर्थ इंडिया में भी थे, पंजाब वाली साइड में. नॉर्थ इंडिया वाले वैसे थोड़े से अग्रेसिव कम ही होते हैं, अब ज्यादा है ना, उस टाइम पे इतने लीडर्स नहीं थे. सो बंगाल वाज नंबर 1, राइट? एंड बंगाल वाज on the target of British government during that time period. And then they realized within 20 years, they created a national spirit, they created the political awareness among Indians, and that educated class is going to do something big. अब ब्रिटिशर्स ने कहा कि इससे पहले कोई और इसका रिजल्ट सामने आए, वी शुड डू समथिंग. उन्होंने कहा क्या करें? एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स ब्रेक एंड रूल. एक काम करो, इनको डिवाइड कर दो, डिवाइड देम. नाउ वी कैन रूल इंडियंस ओनली if we divide them, because now they have become Indian nationals, and now it is very much important to divide them. Then they started thinking about the ways to divide these people, the people of India. We cannot divide them on the regionality, right? History पढ़ ली अब इन्होंने, so we should think something different. Then they presented a theory, right? And इस साइड में कौन है? बांग्लादेश. ईस्टर्न साइड में बांग्लादेश, right? और बांग्लादेश में जो मेजर जो सेंटर था, दैट वाज अब हम बोलेंगे ढाका, एंड उस टाइम पे डक्का. द नवाब ऑफ ढाका. The Britishers joined hand with the Nawab of Dhaka, right? और उनको कहा, see, in the Eastern Bengal, you are majority Muslims, right? You are majority Muslims. If you will follow the Indian national, the feeling, right? Then you are in the minority. In the whole India, you are in the minority. So आपकी जो वॉइस है वो कैसी होगी? आप सब एक साथ भी बोलोगे तो भी आपकी आवाज सुनाई नहीं देगी, क्योंकि इंडिया में देयर आर मेजॉरिटी हिंदूज. अब दिमाग में बैठ गई बात. यू आर राइट सर. तो व्हाट शुड वी डू? उन्होंने कहा कि एक काम करते हैं, वी विल गिव यू more facilities, more power, right? We will divide Bengal, right? Then on 20th July 1905, William Nantic passed a law, a declaration, right? He declared that now the Bengal is going to divide into two, Eastern Bengal and Western Bengal, right? Eastern Bengal and Western Bengal. And the objective which was presented by the British government was, we are dividing Bengal for administrative purpose, because this is very difficult. We are finding it very difficult to administer the whole Bengal within single presidency. See, 1757 के बाद से बंगाल में बैठे हुए थे, right? After 1757, after 1764, after 1773, 1792, they were controlling whole India from that Bengal. And then now, when they planned to divide Bengal, they presented an objective. क्या objective दिया इन्होंने? We are dividing Bengal on the basis of administrative purpose, because it is very difficult to control the whole Bengal in a single presidency. The Indians said, अच्छा, जानते हैं हम, we know your intentions, we are aware about your intentions, right? अगर आपको डिवाइड ही करना था तो ऐसे क्यों डिवाइड किया, उसको ऐसे कर देते. If the only objective was administration, so you could divide the Bengal in different way. ऐसे ही क्यों डिवाइड किया कि यहां मेजॉरिटी मुस्लिम्स आ जाए? एंड सी, डिवीजन इतने जबरदस्त, दे वर वेरी क्लेवर, राइट? यहां ईस्टर्न साइड में खास बात क्या थी? दे वर मेजॉरिटी मुस्लिम्स. इन वेस्टर्न साइड लैंग्वेज डाइवर्सिटी वाज देयर. कैसे? नदर्न पार्ट में बिहारी, सदर्न ओडिया, और बीच में बंगाली. सो डिवीजन दिखा कैसा? 2. और डिवाइड हुए कितने? 4. राइट? सो व्हेन दे डिक्लेयर्ड द डिवीजन ऑफ बंगाल, the people of Bengal, they become aware about their intentions. पता चल गया उनको. Now they are going to divide us. जो 20 years में हमने अचीव किया, we achieved the unity. Now they are dividing us on the name of religion, on the name of language. और जब ये हुआ, so ब्रिटिशर्स ने सोचा भी नहीं था कि एंटी डिवीजन मूवमेंट इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग हो सकता है फ्रॉम द इंडियन साइड. The Indians openly opposed the division of Bengal, and they started anti-division movement against British government, right? And they started that movement from the 7th August 1905. They decided that date, right? And see, how did they show their unity to the British government. उन्होंने कहा कि you are dividing us on the name of religion. They said yes. Okay, now we will show you the unity. And during that time period, all the people of Bengal, Hindus, Muslims, right, they started gathering on the streets, right, and different places, different centers, right. और हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स उन दोनों ने आपस में यूनिटी को शो करने के लिए एक दूसरे को गले लगाना शुरू किया, ठीक है। उन्होंने कहा कि यू कैन नॉट डिवाइड अस ऑन द नेम ऑफ रिलीजन। वहीं पे क्या था बंगाल में, गंगा रिवर, गंगा, सबके सब, नो मैटर हिंदूज और मुस्लिम्स, ऑल, just to show the unity they started taking bath in Ganga, right. and ये वो टाइम था, ठीक है, जब वो खुद भूल गए थे कि हमारे रिलीजियस बैरियर्स क्या हैं, राइट। एंड इसी टाइम में बंगाल में पोइट्री, लिटरेचर, दीज थिंग्स डेवलप्ड। और कहते हैं कि पूरे बंगाल में हर स्ट्रीट में सिर्फ एक ही स्लोगन नजर आ रहा था, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। और ब्रिटिशर्स पागल हो गए थे, जहां जा रहे थे वहां पे वंदे मातरम, राइट। बहुत सारी पोइट्रीज रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर ने लिखी, ठीक है, टू मोटिवेट द पीपल ऑफ बंगाल, टू यूनाइट द पीपल ऑफ बंगाल। बहुत सारे पोइट्स इमर्ज हुए, ठीक है, बहुत सारे सॉन्ग्स मतलब इस टाइम पे कंपोज हुए, राइट, क्योंकि म्यूजिक बहुत अच्छी चीज है ना मोटिवेट करने के लिए, राइट। एंड एक फेस्टिवल और इन्होंने मतलब सेलिब्रेट किया, दे सेलिब्रेटेड राखी, रक्षा बंधन। एंड रक्षाबंधन का एक दूसरा ही फेज नजर आया। रक्षाबंधन मीन्स वी ऑल बंगाली, नो मैटर हिंदूज और मुस्लिम्स और पारसीज और एनी अदर, राइट, वी विल प्रोटेक्ट ईच अदर। सो ऑन द नेम ऑफ द प्रोटेक्शन दे सेलिब्रेटेड राखी, रक्षाबंधन, एक दूसरे को राखी बांधी। दे प्रोमिस्ड टू प्रोटेक्ट ईच अदर, राइट। और ये एंटी डिविजन मूवमेंट इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग था, इन द इनिशियल स्टेज इट स्प्रेडेड इन द बंगाल, राइट, एंड देन बाल गंगाधर तिलक इन बॉम्बे, महाराष्ट्र, when he got to know about the anti division movement of Bengal, उन्होंने कहा this is the opportunity, ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है। वहां पे बंगालीज आर शोइंग द यूनिटी, हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स आर शोइंग द यूनिटी, दिस इज द बेस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी। क्यों ना हम ये शो कर दें कि महाराष्ट्र इज ऑल्सो विद यू, पंजाब इज ऑल्सो विद यू, द होल इंडिया इज अगेंस्ट or opposing the division of Bengal. We can feel the same pain which you are feeling. कि आप और क्या कैसे फीलिंग उन्होंने स्प्रेड की, लाइक यू आर डिवाइडिंग अ फैमिली, यू आर डिवाइडिंग ब्रदर्स, राइट। तो बाल गंगाधर तिलक पहुंच गए, उन्होंने महाराष्ट्र में मूवमेंट स्टार्ट कर दिया अगेंस्ट द डिविजन ऑफ बंगाल। उनके देखा देखी नदर्न इंडिया में भी स्टार्ट हो गया, कहीं मद्रास में भी स्टार्ट हो गया। And then, after a time being, right, the division of Bengal was opposed by whole India. And then Britishers thought, ये तो गड़बड़ हो गई, हमने तो ऑब्जेक्टिव कुछ और रखा था। We were thinking that by dividing the Bengal, we can sow the seed, we can divide these Indians, we can break their unity. But ये तो रिजल्ट ही अलग हो गया। ये क्या हो गए, तो और ज्यादा यूनाइट हो गए, तो कुछ ज्यादा ही यूनाइट हो गए, राइट। देन उन्होंने क्या किया, वो कहते ना फिर अपना फाइनल पंच, राइट, फाइनल कार्ड फ्रॉम द ब्रिटिशर्स, राइट, उन्होंने कहा यहां हम ईस्टर्न साइड में बात करेंगे, ईस्टर्न साइड में बात करेंगे, एंड देन दे डिस्कस्ड विद द नवाब ऑफ डक्का, राइट, एंड उनसे कहा कि यू शुड ऑर्गेनाइज योर सेल्फ, यू शुड मेक अ डिफरेंट एसोसिएशन विच कैन raise voice for the welfare of the Muslims only, right, and in near future we will provide you better facilities, and then they broke up that person with these other peoples, right, इनसे हाथ मिला के, इनके साथ कुछ और लोगों को मिला के, right, एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बना मुस्लिम लीग in 1906, and then the Britishers become successful in sowing the seed of communalism in India, separatist ideology. जैसे ही मुस्लिम लीग बना, स्पेसिफिकली मुस्लिम लीग बना, वैसे ही जो मुस्लिम्स थे, ऑब्वियसली they were opposing the division of Bengal, but अपनी कम्युनिटी के लिए तो फेवर आएगा ना, सो दे स्टार्टेड फेवरिंग मुस्लिम लीग। और सबसे बड़ी बात क्या हुई, एक ऐसा लीडर, अ लीडर who was considered as a progressive leader, open minded, with scientific approach, was he with scientific approach, educationist, Syed Ahmad Khan, Syed Ahmad Khan, who was earlier educationist, the propagator of unity among Hindu and Muslim. He started favoring Muslim League, and he openly declared, he openly suggested Muslim youngsters to not to join INC. During that time period, Badruddin Tayyib ji was trying to suggest or trying to convince Muslim youngsters कि आप आईएनसी में ज्यादा से ज्यादा पार्टिसिपेट करें, बट जैसे ही थोड़ा इन्फ्लुएंस उनका क्रिएट होने लगा, देन सैयद अहमद खान, he suggested Muslim youngsters that not to join the INC. उन्होंने कहा कि आप आईएनसी छोड़ो, आप पॉलिटिक्स में ही एंट्री मत करो, you just focus on education, your progress, पॉलिटिक्स में मत आओ। Getting this? So in the last phases of his life, he openly favored the communist ideology. और ये एक बहुत बड़ा ड्रॉबैक था, इफ सैयद अहमद खान डिडंट प्ले दैट रोल, अगर उस टाइम पे वो ऐसा नहीं करते, राइट, सो वी कैन से ये जो सेपरेटिस्ट आइडियोलॉजीज इतनी ज्यादा, मतलब डीप रूटेड जो आइडियोलॉजीज डेवलप हुई, वो शायद नहीं होती, राइट, बिकॉज इन द इनिशियल टाइम पीरियड he was supported by all religious classes for the progress, for the education, for the development in the Muslim community. कौन सा कॉलेज बनाया था उन्होंने, कौन सा मूवमेंट था, सैयद अहमद खान, अलीगढ़ मूवमेंट, अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी, it was funded by all religious classes, right? So एक ऐसा लीडर जब चेंज होता है, अपनी अप्रोच चेंज करता है, तो ये बहुत सारे लोगों को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है, राइट। सो 1905 में डिवीजन ऑफ बंगाल आया, राइट, एंड 1906 में मुस्लिम लीग, राइट। देन व्हाट हैपेंड, देन द बंगालीज स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग अबाउट opposing the British government in the large scale, and then a movement came into existence which is very important, क्वेश्चन भी बहुत ज्यादा आते हैं वहां से, स्वदेशी, स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, and boycott movement. So what is the meaning of Swadeshi movement and boycott movement? Swadeshi movement means what? Huh? Swadeshi means now we will use our own products. Swadeshi. And see why this topic is very much important, because एक छोटे से बहुत कम टाइम पीरियड में इतनी ज्यादा चीजें हुई, ठीक है, इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हुई जहां से यूपीएससी क्वेश्चन पूछेगा ही पूछेगा, ठीक है. व्हेन द स्वदेशी मूवमेंट वाज रीच्ड ऑन इट्स पीक, राइट, उन्होंने क्या करना स्टार्ट कर दिया, जितने भी ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट्स थे, जितने भी क्लोथ्स थे ब्रिटिश इंडस्ट्रीज में, जो फाइनल प्रोडक्ट्स थे जो इंडिया में आए, पूरे इंडिया में ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट्स थे, सबने अपने अपने घर से ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट बाहर निकाले, रास्ते में डाले, जला दिए, कि जो है हमारे पास स्वदेशी है उसी को यूज करेंगे. तो उन्होंने कहा, किसी ने पूछा कि स्वदेशी मूवमेंट में सिर्फ ब्रिटिशर्स के कपड़े जलाने से क्या होगा, वहां की इंडस्ट्रीज में प्रिपेयर और भी चीजें हैं, तो बोले सब जला देंगे. तो बाकी चीजें भी ले आए, वो भी जला देंगे. उन्होंने कहा सिर्फ इससे क्या होगा, ब्रिटिशर्स ने तो बहुत सारे स्कूल और कॉलेज भी खोल रखे हैं. उन्होंने कहा छोड़ देंगे. यंगस्टर्स ने, स्टूडेंट्स ने ब्रिटिश स्कूलों से, कॉलेजेस से अपना एडमिशन बाहर ले लिया, एडमिशन कैंसिल करा दिया, बाहर आ गए. उन्होंने कहा कि अब तुम्हारा करियर क्या, राइट, व्हाट अबाउट योर एजुकेशन, योर करियर, राइट. और ये तक कहना शुरू कर दिया कि ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर्स के अंडर में जितने भी इंडियंस काम कर रहे हैं ना, सब अपनी अपनी ड्यूटी छोड़ दो. और बहुत सारे लोगों ने रिजाइन कर दिया, गवर्नमेंट जॉब छोड़ दी, राइट. और एक्सट्रीम लेवल देखो इस स्वदेशी मूवमेंट का, स्टूडेंट्स ने स्कूल्स एंड कॉलेजेस का बायकॉट करना स्टार्ट कर दिया, राइट. बायकॉट मूवमेंट, स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, दैट मीन्स वी विल यूज ओनली स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट्स. बायकॉट मूवमेंट मीन्स बायकॉट ऑफ ऑल British products, foreign products, right? Not just the products, but British schools as well, some colleges, right? उनसे भी बाहर आना स्टार्ट कर दिया, जॉब से बाहर आना स्टार्ट कर दिया. They started resigning from their job. अब जो कॉमन पीपल थे, they started asking, हमें भी कुछ करना है, हम क्या कर सकते हैं, how can we contribute in this boycott movement? तो उन्होंने कहा, आप क्या करते हो? He said, I am a tailor. Okay. I am a carpenter. Okay. चाहे आप चाय बनाते हो, चाहे आप धोबी हो, आप कुछ भी काम करते हो, छोटे से छोटा काम, जो भी काम करते हो, you are assisting Britishers in many ways. ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर ऑफिस में तब जाता है जब वो पहले प्रेस करा लेता है, आयरन करा लेता है अपने क्लोथ्स को. मत करो, डोंट वॉश देयर क्लोथ्स, करने दो खुद, आयरन मत करो, उनके लिए खाना मत बनाओ, उनके घर में साफ सफाई मत करो. उनको जिस भी तरीके से आप असिस्ट कर रहे हो ना, वो सब बंद कर दो. और कहते हैं कि बंगाल रीजन में जो कॉमन पीपल थे ना, ठीक है, जो इनडायरेक्टली और डायरेक्टली दे वर असिस्टिंग ब्रिटिशर्स, देयर जॉब्स, राइट, सबने काम बंद कर दिया. मेजॉरिटी ने काम बंद कर दिया. ब्रिटिशर्स कह रहे खुद तो नहीं आ रहे, हमें भी काम करने लायक नहीं रहने दिया. And then finally they had to cancel the division of Bengal in 1911. लेकिन बंगाल डिवीजन कैंसिल करने से पहले उन्होंने इंडिया को ब्रेक कर दिया. Not because of that Muslim League, the foundation of Muslim League in 1906, right? They presented a law, an act, right? And then the act was known as the Morley-Minto Reform Act. Morley-Minto Reform Act 1909. Very, very, very important. Very important act. Reform Act था ये. Reform. Right. So in this reform, they extended the councils. They increased the numbers of non-official members they increased the number of Indians, elected Indians in the council. अच्छा लग रहा है ना ये सारा? Feeling good ना? Along with these, एक काम और किया उन्होंने. They provided separate electoral college, a separate electorate for Muslims. Separate electorate for Muslims. और उन्होंने कहा कि जब आप अलग हो, so you should show that you are different. We will provide you separate electorate. And in these separate electorate, we will define your constituencies. Separate constituencies will be there. And within these separate constituencies, only Muslim candidates can be elected. अब बताओ, जब separate electorate आएगा on the name of religion, right? और कंपलसरी वो होता है ना कि इस बार सीट किसकी है ना. सो उन्होंने क्या कर फिक्स कर दिया कि विद इन दीज कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज ओनली मुस्लिम कैंडिडेट विल बी इलेक्टेड. अब ऐसा तो था नहीं कि किसी भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में मुस्लिम नॉन मुस्लिम्स रहते ही नहीं थे. मेजॉरिटी मुस्लिम्स मस्ट बी देयर, बट other communities was also there in minority. So these electorate, that system created a sense of separatism. अब माइनॉरिटी जो होंगी, चाहे वो पारसीज हो, हिंदू हो, सिख हो, जो भी हो, they started thinking about the Muslims as the different person, the separatist persons. The separatist ideology was spreaded by that Morley-Minto Reform Act 1909. सारे इंडियन नेशनल्स को समझ में आ गया था. They were aware about the actions of the Britishers. They knew their intentions, right? That they are dividing us. But see, सब कुछ पता था, right? लेकिन उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने क्या डिसाइड किया कि हम जिस तरीके से चल रहे हैं ना, हम वैसे चलेंगे. लेकिन एक चेंज हुआ. यहां तक समझ आया आपको? ठीक है. As I have told you that after 1885, the important date is 1905, right? Because of the division of Bengal, right? In 1905, right? That time period is also important for in the perspective of INC. And the importance is, during that time period, the INC was dominated by moderates, dominated by moderates. And what was the method of these moderates? Petitions, requests, letters, resolutions, speeches, right? So that time period was dominated by moderate nationalist in INC 1905 tak, till 1905. And that time, during that time 1905 तक वो sentiments develop हो गए थे, right? Majority Indian nationalist leaders, right, they started opposing the moderates. They started criticizing the moderates. They said that you are too much liberal, and the way, the methods which you are using, these are not that much progressive. Progress उतनी नहीं हो रही है. You are not getting that much what you should get. So you should change your ways. उन्होंने कहा कि कैसा चेंज करना चाहिए, राइट? सो उन्होंने कहा कि ये ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट है, कैसी है ये? डीफ एंड डम. तो जब तक इनके कान के पास धमाका नहीं होगा तब तक इनको समझ में नहीं आएगी. एग्जैक्टली यही वर्ड्स थे. द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट इज डीफ एंड डम. तो जब तक हम इनके कान के पास कोई ब्लास्ट नहीं कर देंगे ना, इनको समझ में नहीं आएगी. अब इस चीज का मतलब समझते हो? दैट मीन्स रिवोल्यूशनरी nationalist, aggressive nationalist, militancy in the nationalism. So from that time period, militancy or revolutionary ideologies were developed. Revolutionary ideologies on the high, right? And revolutionary ideologies में उन्होंने कहा कि कैसे, अब what type of way you are going to follow. उन्होंने कहा कि now we will show the British government the individual's spirit of nationalism. उन्होंने कहा कि ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट है, it will not take time to suppress all Indians if we take that type of action, any revolutionary action. तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमने कब कहा कि पूरे इंडियन ये सब फॉलो करें? तो उन्होंने कहा कैसे? इंडिविजुअल heroism in the revolutionary mindset, right? और फिर उन्होंने क्या करना शुरू किया? बॉम्ब बनाने शुरू किए. ठीक है, बॉम्ब बनाने शुरू किए. एक लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर, उनके ऊपर बॉम्ब फेंक दिया. ठीक है, और तो छोड़ो, दिल्ली में किंग्सफोर्ड, ठीक है, अपना बेचारा वो फील्ड वर्क पे थे, और फील्ड वर्क पे भी थे तो किस पे बैठे हुए थे? हाथी पे बैठे हुए थे. किंग्सफोर्ड, ठीक है, ही वाज सिटिंग ऑन द एलिफेंट. उनके ऊपर बॉम्ब फेंक दिया. तो समाओ बस बच गए वो, राइट? दैट मीन्स द रिवॉल्यूशनरी नेशनलिस्ट started attacking on individual officers. They started targeting the individual officer. मतलब ये था कि अगर कोई भी ब्रिटिश ऑफिशियल जिसका कोई भी जजमेंट पसंद नहीं आया, उसी पर अटैक कर दो, गोली मार दो, बॉम्ब डाल दो उसके ऊपर, उसे जान से मार दो. ठीक है, मतलब डर होना चाहिए. Fear should be there in the eyes of Britishers now. कि इंडियंस अगर रिक्वेस्ट करना जानते हैं, so they can attack also, right? So these type of revolutionary ideologies developed, right? And then in 1905, from 1905, when these type of revolutionary ideologies developed, emerged in the Indian politics, so the it become a reason of conflict between the moderates and the revolutionaries. Moderates ने क्या कहना शुरू कर दिया? They started blaming the revolutionaries that because of you people, because of some revolutionary nationalist, now the British government is not taking seriously, right? So they are not listening us as well. So that become a reason of conflict between the moderates and the revolutionaries. From 1905, a conflict emerged between moderate leaders and the revolutionary leaders. Revolutionary leaders led by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Vipin Chandrapal, Lala Lajpat Rai, right? They were favoring aggressive policies, right? उन्होंने कहा कि लेटर वेटर से अब कुछ नहीं होने वाला. Now we should openly oppose the British government and we should show them the real power of Indians. We can attack, right? So that become the reason of conflict between moderates and revolutionaries, right? और इस conflict का result क्या हुआ? That conflict resulted into split of Congress. Split of Congress in 1907. 1907. And during that time period, the session was held in Surat. So in the Surat session, the Congress was divided into two. Divided into two. Moderates and extremist. Moderates and extremists. Right? So moderates में फिरोज शाह मेहता, दादाभाई नौरोजी, right? These leaders were there. In extremist leaders, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Vipin Chandrapal, and Lala Lajpat Rai. Right? So 1905 tak moderates were dominating the nationalist actions of INC, right? Then revolutionary nationalist emerged, right? And then a conflict emerged between these two, and it resulted into the split of Congress into moderates and extremists in 1907. Now see, 1905 division of Bengal, 1906 Muslim League, 1907 split of Congress. ब्रिटिशर्स के लिए कितनी बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी थी वो. That's why. And see the dedication, the patience of the moderates. They continued their effort. They didn't stop themselves, right? Their actions. And they demanded the extension of the legislative councils. बस फर्क ये था कि उनके डिमांड के साथ एक गिफ्ट दे दिया ब्रिटिशर्स ने on the name of separate electorates. Separate electorate means separatist ideology was promoted by the British government between Hindus and Muslims, 1909. But still, the Indians continued the Swadeshi movement, the boycott movement, right? And result iska ye raha, Swadeshi and boycott movement ka, that various small industries started establishing in India. Various schools and colleges were established by the Indians for Indians. So the Britishers started thinking about these activities. उन्होंने सोचा कि अब तो Indians क्या कर रहे हैं? Indians are investing for their schools and colleges. Now they are investing in their industries. केमिकल इंडस्ट्री बनी बंगाल में, उन्होंने कहा केमिकल इंडस्ट्री बना दी इन्होंने, गड़बड़ हो जाएगी तो बॉम्ब वगैरह में बहुत सारी, तो बड़ा मतलब तो अटैक वगैरह में बहुत यूज करेंगे ये अब. So they must be cooled down now. This is the edge. Then they decided the cancellation of division of Bengal in 1911. उन्होंने कहा कि अब इतने नाराज मत हो, we will cancel the division of Bengal. लेकिन बंगाल का division administratively, legally was cancelled, but division हो चुका था. Right? Division of Hindus and Muslims. Separatist and communalist ideologies were emerged. And then immediately in 1911, they shifted the capital from Calcutta to Delhi. उन्होंने कहा पावर सेंटर ही चेंज करो अब. अब Bengal is not safe now because Bengal has become the center of revolutionary activities and political power. So now we should change the capital. So they changed the capital from Calcutta to Delhi. समझ आ गया? हाँ, कुछ नोट्स बनाने इन पे लिखो. अच्छा एक बात बताओ ईमानदारी से, हाँ, जो कुछ पढ़ा फ्रॉम 1858 टिल 1911, राइट, समझ आए? हाँ, काउंसिल्स एक्ट समझ आए? नॉन ऑफिशियल मेंबर्स ऑफ काउंसिल्स समझ आए? लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, प्रियंका आया ना? नहीं आया तो पूछ लेना, ठीक है? एंड non-official candidates and the Indian members, that means the Indian representation in the councils. Council means, legislative council means in the decision making, the law making, right? And then these activities, right? समझ आ गया ना? And let me know you, this is the toughest portion to understand these activities from 1858 to that time period. The changes of legislative councils, various acts, right? आप इसको किसी भी बुक से पढ़ोगे, you will be confused. You might be confused कि ये है क्या? एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल कभी लिखते हैं, एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल कभी लिखते हैं, इंपीरियल लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल कभी लिखते हैं, प्रोविंशियल लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड द लेजिस्लेटिव? राइट, बार बार एक्ट आ रहे हैं, 1858 एक्ट, 1861, राइट, 1878 में इतने सारे एक्ट, वर्नाक्युलर प्रेस एक्ट, आर्म्स एक्ट, चलो वो तो फिर भी थोड़ा समझ में आ जाता है. देन what is the benefit of 1892 Indian Council Act? So what is the meaning of Indian Council Act? So Council Act means reform in Indian Council, extension of the council. Extension of the council means increasing the Indian participation. Increase in Indian participation means increasing the voice of Indians. Getting this? So these topics, these acts, legislative council acts are considered as tough, right? और अगर आपको समझ में आ गया, that means you are very intelligent. So clap for you. Huh? You should clap for yourself. Yeah, you deserve it. And trust me, अब आप ये chapters NCERT से पढ़ना, ठीक है? बहुत इजी लगेगा, राइट? उनको पढ़ना and you will get direct questions in your PT and mains, right? चलो कुछ notes लिखो, 10-15 minutes. लास्ट हेडिंग बताओ क्या लिखी थी? हाँ, एक बार नोट्स दिखाऊंगी, क्या क्या लिखा उसमें. Okay. In their initial achievements, we have just discussed a single point, constitutional reforms, right? The Indian Council Act of 1892. अब एक दो points और लिखेंगे. So point number 2 of their achievements. Indian National Congress realized that the wealth of India is drained out by the Britishers. They made Indian people economically aware about the intentions of British rule and economic policies in India. They blamed the British government for the destruction of India's, they blamed British government for the destruction of India's indigenous industries and they started demanding the rapid development of they started demanding rapid development of modern industries in India. They also demanded tariff protection and government aid for Indian industrialists. They popularized the idea of Swadeshi, means promotion of Indian industries. They also demanded for improvement in the condition of improvement in the conditions of work of the plantation laborers, comma, reduction of land revenue to lighten the burden of taxation on the peasants, comma, abolition of salt tax, abolition of salt tax and reduction in military expenditures. Reduction in military expenditures. Military expenditures. Next. Administrative reforms by INC. इसी में achievements में administrative reforms by the INC. The leaders of INC demanded for the reforms in administration they put forward their demands on economic, political and moral grounds. They put forward their demands on economic, political and moral grounds. See, the issue was on the higher ranks, only Britishers were appointed or selected, right? So the leaders of INC started demanding for the appointment, for the selection of Indians on these higher ranks, on this higher post. So for higher ranks and higher post, right, they demanded, right? And the next demand was for the salary, the payment, equal payment for equal rank. One rank, one pension. Huh? क्या है ये वन रैंक वन पेंशन? वन रैंक वन पेंशन. बताओ. चलो होमवर्क लिखो. वन रैंक वन पेंशन स्कीम. स्टार्टेड बाय इंडियन गवर्नमेंट है, अभी रिसेंटली चल रही है ये, ठीक है. और इसको लेके बहुत सारे इश्यूज भी हुए थे कि गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर बहुत बड़ा बर्डन आ गया था, राइट. वन रैंक वन पेंशन, ठीक है. तो ये क्या है, ये पूरा पढ़ के आना है हमने, ठीक है. सो अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं आईएनसी की. सो दे डिमांडेड इक्वल पेमेंट, राइट. सो लिखो दे डिमांडेड अपॉइंटमेंट or selection of Indians on higher ranks and equal payments in this aspect. Gopal Krishna Gokhale questioned the government in 1897. The nationalists demanded separation of judiciary from executive power. Judiciary from executive power. They also opposed the curtailment of the powers of the jury. Do you know anything about juries? Huh? बोलो बोलो बताओ. On the basis of majority. Yeah. Actually, in the court proceedings, a judge was there, right? Final authority, judge, and here the jury, right? Belong to various sections of the society, the experts of the society, right? They were they were appointed from the various sections of the society. They were experts, right? And on the basis of their majority decisions, right, the judge was taking final decision. So their majority decision was important, right? But the British government, they curtailed the power of juries. And so the curtailment of the power of juries में कौन होते थे? Indians. So the curtailment of the power of juries, that means enhancement of the power of judge was British, mainly. Right? Next point. Civil rights, efforts, achievements in civil rights. The early nationalists recognized the value of freedom of speech and press. Their efforts motivated various nationalist struggles for these freedoms. By their efforts, the common people of India were becoming aware about politics and their rights with the help of newspapers, pamphlets, and speeches. See, in 1897, the British government took a very strict action for some nationalist leaders, right? They started arresting those leaders because they were spreading nationalist ideologies, right? By the newspaper, by the speeches, by their pamphlets. And among these leaders, they arrested Bal Gangadhar Tilak, right? And they declared imprisonment for 18 months for Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He was imprisoned for 18 months. Till 1897, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was a nationalist leader in Maharashtra only. But when the British government arrested him and imprisoned him, declared the imprisonment for 18 months, the leaders of INC popularized him as the national hero, the national leader, right? And it was considered that कोई भी ऐसा घर नहीं होगा जहां पे तिलक की न्यूज सुनने के बाद लोग परेशान नहीं हुए होंगे, उन्होंने ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट को अपोज नहीं किया हो. सो within hours Tilak become national hero. So that these things were popularized by INC platform, right? That's it about the INC. Now make heading for 1905 division of Bengal. क्या वो परेशान हो गए लिखते लिखते? लिखो. On 20th July 1905, Lord Curzon, Curzon, Lord Curzon issued a notice about the division of Bengal on the name of administrative ease. On the name of administrative ease. According to the division, the Eastern Bengal and Assam, with a population of 31 millions, were majority Muslims. The nationalist leaders were aware about the divide and rule policy of Britishers, so they started opposing the division aggressively. Within Bengal, different sections of society, such as zamindars, merchants, lawyers, students, city poor, that means the labor class of the city, the poor population of city, and even women raised their voice against partition. See, UPSC PT में ये क्वेश्चन भी पूछ लेता है कि who contributed in anti-partition movement? Which section of the society participated or contributed in the anti-partition movement? So which section of society participated? Zamindars, merchants, lawyers, students, poor, and women as well. राइट, लिखो नेक्स्ट पॉइंट लिखो. The anti-partition movement. Heading is anti-partition movement. Anti-partition movement. Bracket. Swadeshi and boycott movement. From 7th August 1905, the anti-partition movement was initiated. A massive demonstration was organized against the partition in the town hall in Calcutta. The partition took effect on 16th October 1905. Underline this. The partition took effect on 16th October 1905. The nationalist leaders declared that day, which day? 16th October. That day as a day of national mourning. A day of national good morning वाली morning नहीं. Mourning. A day of national mourning. Initially, the anti-partition movement spread in Bengal, but later was spreaded in Bengal, but later initially the anti-partition movement was spreaded in Bengal, but later it was supported by other areas of India, other areas and leaders of India to show the unity among Indians. अब शॉर्ट पॉइंट्स लिखेंगे, राइट, कि कौन कौन से तरीके थे कि the nationalist leaders and people of Bengal, they showed their unity and opposed the government, right? On that day, the people were on fasting. क्लास खत्म होने के बाद रीजन बताना पड़ेगा, इतने दोनों डिस्कस कर रहे हो, कुछ खास बात है, ठीक है, क्लास भी हंस लेगी थोड़ा, है ना. The people were on fasting, comma, they performed hartal, comma, people walked barefooted and bathed in Ganga. They celebrated Rakhi they celebrated Rakhi. And the streets of Calcutta were were full of cries of Bande Matram. Right. Next point. A popular leader, Anand Mohan Bose, laid the foundation of a federation hall to mark the indestructible unity of Bengal. Indestructible unity of Bengal. Federation Hall was founded by Anand Mohan Bose. Full stop. Next point. लिखना है कल? कौन सी दुनिया में हो? चलो, ये एनसीईआरटी बैच है ना, इसलिए आप लोग इतना हंस लेते हो इतना, ठीक है? थोड़ी एक्टिविटीज में हो जाते हो। अगर ये एडवांस बैच होता ना तो कितनी डांट पड़ गई होती तुम्हें, ठीक है? चलो, क्लास इज ओवर फॉर टुडे। थैंक यू।